Om. 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 Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tannah Sarvah Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tannah Sarvah Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tannah Sarvah Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tannah Sarvah Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tannah Sarvah Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tannah Sarvah Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tannah Sarvah Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tannah Sarvah Prachodayat. Om Sai Ishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tannah Sarvah Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhate girim yat kripatamam vande paramananda madhavam. O Swami, please speak through me, think through me, feel through me, act through me. Om Sai Ram. Sai Ram, brothers and sisters, a warm welcome once again to a beautiful Sunday morning and a time to reconnect. I'm sure we have all been in close communication with Swami, with in our individual sadhana, but group sadhana does bring up all the positive energies of different individuals and share it with others who are still struggling, like one of us, right? So it helps us a lot. And there we have Brother Babu, who will be joining us, who has joined us, and he'll be sharing his part of Sai Sajan in another half an hour. A warm welcome, Brother Babu. So nice to see you.
Ramamindraji, thank you. Can you hear us and can you see us?
Yes, yes, you're absolutely clear, brother. Absolutely.
Right.
Okay, Sairam.
Right.
So all those who are there, they can put their videos on as well. So we'll do our first half an hour with our session, and then we hand over to Brother Babu. Sairam Auntie, so nice again to see you.
Right.
Beautiful. We are going to hear a lot in installments starting today. All right, let's move on. So this is Sunday, bi-weekly Sunday Sai vaccine that we feel it's extremely important ever since we have come into this world by design of our karmas and the residues to finally try to annul them, cancel them, neutralize them, and then go back. And this Sai vaccine helps us to reconnect, to remember, to tune into Swami, to tune into the voice of God, to tune in the and what Swami said, what is the voice of God is the conscience within us, and that's the Sai, that's the source that we have to tap and get communicated with. And then once we start doing it, as some of the people who are doing it in sadhana are able to do it, it becomes a communication, a communion with God, right? And it restores the broken link, right? And what it also does is, this is where Bhagavan says satsang, the real upavasa. So satsang helps us to actually undergo the upavasa in the terms that Bhagavan has explained. Upavasa, he said, upa is sitting near, and upa is sitting close to God. That is being with God, right? And satsang is what? Satsang is the changeless truth that we try to be in company of. I request those, please put your mics off and you can join in if you want to share something. Thank you. So it helps us to become a better version of ourselves, brothers and sisters, as we have spoken. We are at least in that process. And this weekly reminder, bi-weekly reminder also helps us to reprioritize Bhagavan at the first lot. You know, joy, J-O-Y, Bhagavan says, J is for Jesus, O for others, and Y for you. That is the priority we got to recalibrate and put it on the Sundays if you haven't done yet. And thank Bhagavan for everything, for every moment that we exist, every breath that we take, because when we see people grappling for even a breath in this pandemic situation, I think it gives us enough reason to be extremely thankful and grateful about. And at the same time, not only end there, do what you can in your capacity to help by actually doing something, praying intensely for them, because these prayers, which are selfless in nature, are definitely having high potential to be heard by Bhagwan. Moving on, what is the journey? The primary journey Bhagwan has said in building up this organization or doing the various seva activities, spiritual, you know, whether you are doing a medical service or you're going to a seva in Prashanti Nilayam or you're doing bhajans or you're doing dhyanam, everything is there. Why? Because we have been lost. Our whole character is lost. The true divine nature has been eclipsed by various multiple eyes that we have created, brothers and sisters. And we all know that. It's just that we are not digging deep to understand it. We are starting to own, or we are getting possessed by these eyes, right? And that is leading to koham. Who am I? You know, and that is where we have to take out layer by layer, like an onion, peel it off and get out of this and see him and only him into us and into the individuals that surround us. It's extremely important to understand that we are not human beings trying to have a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings who have come down to have a human experience by virtue of some of the karmic residues. And that is important, right? And this journey is extremely, we do whatever we do, brothers and sisters, if we don't come to the fact that we are the same spark of divine, the same reflection of Bhagavan, I think our journey will keep continuing. Let's listen in to this small video which I could crop and onto the relevant section that we are discussing about. If you don't hear the audio, please give me a shout.
What is that you have to realize?
Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Who am I?
You have to realize what you are. Who am I? Who am I?
నేను దేహమా?
Am I the body?
కాదు.
No.
నేను మనసా?
Am I the mind?
కాదు.
No.
నేను బుద్ధ్యా?
Am I the intellect?
కాదు.
No.
నేను ఒక సెన్సెసా?
Am I the
కాదు.
senses? No.
ఇవేవి కాదు.
None of these.
నాది ఈ దేహము.
This body is my body.
మై బాడీ మీద అనగా who is this my?
When you say my body, then who is this my?
This is my kerchief.
This is my kerchief.
Kerchief is separate from me.
Kerchief is separate from me.
My body means body is separate from me.
When you say my body,
But
body is
who
separate
are
from
you?
me. Then who are you?
ఈ విధమైనటువంటి యొక్క రియలైజ్ చేస్తూ పోతే క్రమక్రమేణా బాడీ మైండ్ సెన్సెస్ ఇవన్నీ కూడా ఇన్స్ట్రుమెంట్స్. యు ఆర్ ది మాస్టర్.
When once you inquire this way, you will realize that the body, mind, intellect and senses are the instruments and you are the
చిల్డ్రన్స్,
master.
బంధువులు, మిత్రులు అంతా కూడా మధ్యలో వచ్చేటువంటి పాసింగ్ క్లౌడ్స్.
Wife, children, friends, relations are like passing
బిఫోర్
clouds.
మ్యారేజ్ హూ ఇస్ వైఫ్, హూ ఇస్ హస్బెండ్.
Prior to the marriage, who is the wife and who is the husband?
బిఫోర్ బర్త్ హూ ఇస్ ది సన్, హూ ఇస్ ది మదర్.
Before the birth, who is the son and who is the mother?
ఇవంతా మధ్యలో వచ్చిన అటాచ్మెంట్లే.
It's all the attachment that has come on the way.
నాట్ లవ్.
It's not love, it's not love, it's not love.
అటాచ్మెంట్.
It's only attachment.
Love you and from divinity.
It's only the love relationship between you and God.
అదే రియల్ లవ్.
That is the real
Before
love.
birth there is love.
Before birth there is love.
After death there is love. During time there is love.
During lifetime there is love.
Trikala bhadyam satyam. This is omnipresent love.
This love is indivisible, that remains the same in all the three periods of time.
అలాంటి లవ్ మనం డెవలప్ చేసుకోవాలి.
We have to develop that divine love.
ఈ మధ్యలో కదిలిపోయే మేఘముల వంటి యొక్క ప్రేమను పెంచుకొని తన దివ్యత్వాన్ని తాను మర్చిపోతున్నాడు మానవుడు.
The attachment that has come in between on the way of life,
అదే
like a passing cloud.
బిగ్గెస్ట్ ఫూలిష్నెస్.
We have forgotten the divinity, that the biggest foolishness in humanity today.
ఈ యొక్క తెలివి తక్కువ పని చేతనే మానవుడు తన యొక్క తత్వాన్ని తాను గుర్తించలేకపోతున్నాడు.
Because of this utter state of foolishness, we have forgotten our true
ప్రాపంచిక
spirit.
సంబంధమైనటువంటి డ్యూటీస్ నువ్వు చేయి, తప్పులేదు.
Do your worldly duties.
కానీ డ్యూటీ ఇస్ గాడ్.
Duty is God.
వర్క్ ఈజ్ వర్షిప్.
Work is
ఈ
worship.
రెండింటి యొక్క భావంతో డూ యువర్ డ్యూటీ.
With these two feelings, do your duty. Do your duty sincerely.
అంతేగాని ఒక అటాచ్మెంట్ తో నువ్వు చేయకూడదు.
Don't do it with attachment.
ఏం చేయాలి?
What is that you have to
Who
realize?
am I? Who am
All right. So I think it cannot be more emphatic, more clearer from the Creator Himself. And we understand what Swami is trying to exhort us. We have got too attached and understanding this is the love that divine is talking about. No, the only love and the connection and the bond he talks about. Even if we are loving our brother, sister, mother, we are in a way to realize we are loving the God within those individuals who we are spending our time and our life with. It's extremely important reminder, brothers and sisters, to understand the whole gambit of the journey has to start and end with this, right? Annihilation of that outer eye and connection to the inner eye, or rather inner side. Let's move on. We were on to the destiny, karma, and this topic a few weeks we have been going. It's important for us to continue, and maybe it will take a couple of or 2-3 weeks more because we are going slow half an hour and we have some sharings. As we did to encapsulate again, Agami karma, that is what we are all engaged in, the life births, which again goes back and decides our destiny. And we have taken a portion of that Sanchit karma, which was there in our reservoir, and have come down into this earth to again settle those scores. Why? Because we had always attached, remember, we have attached the fruits to every action that we did, right? So it becomes a cycle which goes on and on. It's like like a whirlpool, and we have to face the consequences. So this is the point where what we left last time. Let me come back to it. Okay, so that's how the struggle is going on. So we are trying to decode and understand whether it is God's will or my will, right? Whether who is controlling the destiny. And at different phases, there are different revelations on this as we go along. But very important for us is to make this very clear in these sessions that we have undertaken. Now, very beautifully, Swami has said in Since Science Speaks, Volume 2, Philosophy of Bhagya, Destiny, Free Will, and Karma. Now, let's see in a simple analogy. There is a field where a cow is grazing the grass, right? So, Bhagavan says the cow, when it grazes, is a karma, right? It's a karma. What she's eating is karma. And then to move is the free will, right? To graze and move around to graze it is the free will. And then how much far she can take that ground in that field is the destiny, is the fate, is the balance of prarabdha karma that you came down with, right? That's important. Now, a beautiful thing that Bhagwan now puts up further to this is, I've just tried to symbolically represent, and Bhagwan says, when all the grass there has been eaten, perhaps the master might loosen the knot and tether to another post a little farther off. Graze freely as far as the rope allows, but do not stray from the post. What is that post? That post is the sai within. To hold on to him, dedicate all the actions to him. And that's what he's saying. Do not stray from the post and pull the rope, because if you try to pull, go against the will, there will be pain inflicted on the neck. How beautifully he has explained this in those sentences which we try to graphically put it up. It's very important to understand that scope of the rope is the fate. He may loosen by his grace, allow you to do more, depending on the situation and our intensity of the sadhana. So moving on, we had touched this where Bhagavan had explained that every karma has got a reaction, and every karma to fructify has got certain time, right? This was the last slide we had last time, where some of the karmas get you like cutting of knife, blood coming out is immediate. Some of the reactions, resound reflections. So what some of the reaction when you eat a food, few hours to digest. When you sow a seed, it takes few days to germinate. And when you sow something like a bamboo, it takes years to germinate. So different karmas have got different time, but mind it, every karma has got a reaction, resound, reflection time. It has to come back. It's only time which happens, right? Now decoding a little bit more. Let's look. Sanchit, we spoke about Sanchit karma, which is accumulated. Kriyanman or Agami is the one which we are doing in the present life. And Prarabdha is something from the Sanchit we took and we came down into this life. Now, each karma that we are doing now are based on two different impulses, right? Shuddha and Ashuddha. So when you talk about pure karma, which is Shuddha, based on sattvic tendency, sattvic guna, which is beneficial, which is selfless, right? So those things are Shuddha karma. And there are certain Ashuddha which is based on the Arstha Vargas, anger, desire, greed, all this which is coming from Tamasic and the Rajasic guna, they lead into these kind of actions. Now what happens? Bhagavan said you can do, but remember the fruit of the action has to take it. Now the phala ansh, that means the portion of the fruit that comes out of the action. Again, something is drishta. Drishta means you can see it. It is visible now in our memories. That is tatkalik, means immediately you get it, as he said, and some can be kalantarik, which can delay a little bit, few years. And the other part of the phala ansh, which is not visible, right, which is not seen, is Laukik. That means it can happen in this span of our life, or Parlaukik, which can accumulate. All right. So this helps us to understand how the karma bifurcates into different residues. Now, we all know about chapter 2, verse 47, where karmanyevadhikaraste ma phalestu gada. Now, this is where Bhagavan says your privilege is certainly in what we do, correct? Because that's why he has created the whole world. I separated myself from myself to love myself. That was the whole gambit of creation. But what we did, we got created to love myself and to my family, to my wife, my children, my this, my that. We changed it entirely from God and got it divorced, right? So here, this sloka says your privilege is certainly to what to do, but never in the outcome what to do. What you do. You have a right to perform duties, but you're not entitled. You should not be entitled. And just let us introspect and see every duty that we perform or every work that we do, automatically there is a KPI, right? We talk about in the corporate terms, what is the key performance indicators? What is the objective, right? So when you trickle that down to individual level also as a family, why you are doing this, why you are sending them to school or whatever. It's not that the fruits of action is binding you, but what is happening is your attachment to the object, to the person that you're doing it for, makes it all bound, right? And that's where Bhagavan told Sister Seema Diwan from US that remember the children are not from you, they are through you. So when we live and exist in this awareness of trusteeship, that is, we are just the trustee and the, like the army guys in India, or several others, collectors, they've got 3 years posting. The house that they stay with a sense of detachment because they know they're going to shift again after 3 years, then again after 3 years. Swami has given this example also, where it is said that when you live in that sense of detachment, that is, this is not mine, then obviously you start disconnecting. You do as a part of your bounden duty to help your child or whatever, but you have disconnected internally, understanding that it's God will, it is His plan that the child has to be grown properly. So that is one part of the sloka. The next part, ma karma phale tu bhurma te sangotsva karmani. What the second part of it, the same verse tells us, do anything to achieve a particular, do not do anything to achieve a particular karma phala. That means do not start with a fruit, correct? Else you will remain bound. Nishkam karma. So now we are reminded of Nishkam. Nishkam karma is something when we do with a sense of detachment. Like right now in COVID time, pandemic time, a lot of us are trying to help in whatever way. In the prayers that you do, every evening we had this collective prayers, right? Or if you are sending money to some of the friends who are mobilizing oxygen ventilators or whatever, you don't know the person who is going to receive it, correct? And you don't want an adulation. What you're doing is your heart has resonated with the pain of that individual and you're doing it selflessly. Now this becomes a part of Nishkama Karma. And that's my limited understanding, because we don't know the person who is receiving. Our whole objective is, oh God, please make me an instrument to help the people who are in need. And that's important. We have to disconnect. And there is an acronym which, NATO. NATO is North Atlantic Treaty Organization, but it also tells us very beautifully, NATO is not attached to outcome. So if you remember the word NATO, not attached to outcome, it gives us a connect to this particular verse that we were talking about. All right. So let's move on. Now we spoke about karma and the time and all that. And what is that which is important? We had Sister Pooja earlier sharing where she said, and that caught on to me. It was a simple thing, but it was quite profound. And yesterday, when I was serving Sister Sai Speaks, there was some reference to that where Bhagwan said, where Rama enters the mind, desire karma has no place. In fact, since desire is the very stuff of which mind is made, it becomes non-existent and you are free. That means the moment light comes in, the darkness goes, right? You don't have to effort. What is that light is Rama. That is R in the word karma. This is called the stage of death of mind and the merging of mind. Now look at this. Karma with Rama, R, becomes karma. When you put R, it becomes karma yoga. So when Rama comes in your karma, when Sai Rama, when you start thinking about Bhagavan, dedicated selflessly with a sense of detachment that this is not what I'm connected to any fruits, this is my offering, it becomes karma. So in karma, the R, which is Rama, is prominent, then it becomes karma yoga. Now, if that R goes missing, as you can see in karma, when R means the sense of Bhagwan or sense of attaching God's will or that he's working through me goes down and down, it becomes karma. It becomes desire. And beautifully Bhagwan says, desire ceases, stops, when God seizes the mind. That means God captures the mind, ceases, desire ceases. But on the other hand, when God seizes, then desire captures the mind, seizes the mind. It's so beautifully, our Lord can only do that, So this was one thing which I felt it's important for us to understand. We are all embroiled in karma. Inaction is not a solution. We can't get out of this action. We have to do it. But how we do it, we add that spice, that tadka of Bhagwan's name. So Sanchit Karma, we saw, we have come with this part of accumulated action, and that is there. And Prarabdha Karma is one portion we have taken. Now we'll get in from Sanchit to Prarabdha in a couple of slides. Now let's say what are the major events that come into life. A lot of major events. Let's say you get a lottery without any expectation, without having worked for it, you just go for it. So that becomes again your part, which can be explained only by Prarabdha Karma, because you earned something which you never thought. Now look at these photographs of these children. Some are born rich, some are born poor, right? They haven't started a karma, conscious karma in this particular birth. But we have to agree that there has been certain things which have been carried forward, like credit card bills. Even if you change your card, your balances still come. This is how it is. Perhaps they had a more balance in the previous karma which they have come to settle. That's the only explanation we can have, right? And then Bhagwan goes to say, do not blame the Siro Likhitam, writing on the head, for your condition. The writing has been done by yourself. The status in the present life is decided on the activities in the previous life. It is you who write, it is you who wipe it off, all the writing on the head, right? So fate is everything is pre-written, but when grace comes, it becomes rewritten. That was one saying which Brother Pandit shared with us a long time back. Now here, I will not get into how it overturns, or there is a 180 degrees to it, because that is something which is going to come down. Though I'm compelled with one of the very famous miracles that Swami performed to one of the Punjabi ladies. Let's store that and keep that hold on for the times that we are going to come and discuss more about. So all the major events in the life are decided, right? Life, marriage, death, birth, and major accidents or whatever. When you see in this, all the majors, they becomes a part of the Prarabdha Karma. Now, example of faith. Let's say you have parked a car somewhere, and there is a wind or something, or even without a wind, sometimes the trunk of the tree falls, or a tree falls, right? It is something that you haven't done wrong, right? But it happens, right? That is something which, now I'm distinguishing here between the karmic residues which came and between the free will. And on the other hand of this was the fate, when the trunk fell down. Now the other hand of free will is when you're drunk and you're driving and you go and ram the car. In both cases, the consequence is same. The car is damaged. But in one case, you are a contributor. That's the free will you have exercised, or I would say rather abused, to lead into this kind of. So these kind of actions, which is Agami, which is Kriyanwan, which we are doing out of our free will with a complete oblivion of what is required to be done in the right way, is leading us to again accumulation of certain karmas, which has to be, for which we get an instant result now, or in some cases we get it delayed, right? We saw that. So this was an important representation for us to understand Prarabdha Karma, how it works. Now, banker. Now, there was this 1968 discourse where Bhagwan had spoken about how a divine banker works. Banker remains impartial on the withdrawals, right? God is a witness to what we are doing, what we are getting, and how we are doing. Just remains as a witness. He keeps a record. The other part of it we have to understand, brothers and sisters, is he is a Chitragupta. That is, it is like a black box on the flights, or we call a VDR on the ships, where things are being recorded. On the ships, on the bridge where the steering is, this is called a VDR.
Brother Bindu, we can't hear you. You are muted.
I don't know. Automatically. Okay, we were in this slide last, right, brothers? The Shastri, was this the last slide that you could hear?
Yeah. This is last few seconds.
Okay.
You are telling about VDR.
Okay, VDR. So VDR again is on the ship, where a captain of the ship, who's holding the steering, and there are deck officers who are navigating officers. Whatever they are talking casually, even whatever, they're not aware, though they know the VDR is there. Like we know God is there. Somebody asked Swami Vivekananda, if God is there everywhere, why do we need prayers? Why do we need it? Then Swami Vivekananda get a beautiful reply. He said that air is there everywhere, correct? Then why do you use fan in your house? Correct? So if air is there everywhere, you still use a fan because you want to get more, channelize it more. Similarly, God is everywhere, but we need to pray, to channelize, to connect, to, tune in, and then receive the energy, exchange the energy. That's important. And that is why we forget that God is there. Similarly, like the navigating officers forget that VDR is there recording everything. And at the time of incidents, that is when we leave this world, when the accounts are being checked, all these recordings are played to see what is our next course of action, or what is the next course of our coming down. So it's important for us to understand divine banker, which is God, remains impartial, remains a witness, and sees all this, how it is being recorded. Now here you can see, we spoke about God being like a postman, where one house he delivers a note of promotion, on the other house he delivers a note of possibly a fatality or a death. He doesn't know, the postman doesn't know. Rather, postman is not responsible, I would say, for what has happened in both the houses, right? But they have received it depending on their own merits or demerits of the karmas. And this particular slide tells us more onto that whenever we deposit or withdraw money in the bank, we are so curious to see whether our balance has increased or decreased. Bhagwan says this principle must be applied to check up your life's passbook. Before going to bed every day, we need to spend. Now, this is what we were hammering in so many of our sessions earlier. Self-audit, self-going within, searching within, finding where we did wrong. In the end of the day, thanking Swami for that wonderful day that we survived and that we could survive with his name, and also soul searching and asking forgiveness. Karacharan kitangwak, kaya jang karma jangwak, Shravana nayana jangwak, manasangwak aparadam, vihitanga vitangwak, sarva metak shamaswa jai jai karunabdhe Shri Sai Dev Sambho. Means that whatever misdeeds, misacts, misthoughts I've committed by virtue of mind, thought, word, deed, please forgive me, Bhagwan. Let me have a fresh slate tomorrow. And Bhagwan Krishna has said in Gita, if you intensely repent, even Swami has repeated that, if you intensely repent, deeply repent for whatever we have done wrong, forgiveness is there. The residue of the karma can be cancelled. It's very important, brothers. Every day when we have time, go within, ask for forgiveness, because we're all humans. We are all in this world which is full of eyes and distractions. We will make a mistake. How fast we come to the mainstream, that is like a ship's autopilot, deviating and then coming back. And that is what this sadhana, this satsang, this coming together helps us to realign ourselves as soon as we can. With that, brothers and sisters, I think with this slide, I will end up here. And because we have Brother Babu and Auntie there also sharing, I would take this moment to welcome Brother Babu and Auntie. And let me stop sharing the screen. Yeah. And they're wonderful souls. You always see them get inspired. Auntie has been always so active in all the sevas that we have been doing. Bhagwan has blessed her for decades. That's what I came to know. And I will not take much of time. Brother Babu, Auntie, Sairam, Pranam, it's all yours. Please share your love for Swami, how the journey has been. We can't hear you, Babu.
Can you hear us?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Sai Ram, brothers and sisters. Brother Binduji, thank you so much. And I sort of helped my mom to sort of rewind, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 years. So most of her memories are connected with her childhood memories, wherein my mom is the third child. So fourth child, four girls and one younger brother. So every time Puttaparthi visits are by default the vacation, and she had told you as well that a lot of her travel used to be through bullock cart and multiple modes of journey. So I will. What I'll do is that she discussed with her sister because many of the things she's not able to remember. So we have sort of picked up 5 things which they remember very well. And these 5 incidents bring us to different themes of experiences that they had with Baba and what all that reflects in terms of a common understanding each one of us can absorb by hearing and reliving those experiences. So the first experience is basically to do with her first visit, wherein she visits with her father, my grandpa, and then her elder sister, and then she herself goes. So the day they reach only in the evening, and there's only like last minute darshan they could manage. So the next day they were thinking, okay, they will go early and then get a proper darshan because it was already late the first day.
Which year was this, brother? Which year?
Sure. It must be like years ago. It must be like 40, 50 years ago. Okay, so the day they went, the next day they go, but my mom is unable to go that day because of ladies' issue. So she stays behind in the shed, and my grandpa and my mom's second elder sister goes. And what happens is that Baba gives, they get an interview.
We can't see you, brother. We can't see you. Can you shift the camera a little bit?
Can you hear us?
We can hear you. We can see you partly because you are not coming in the frame. Yeah, now you are.
Okay, so the second day my mom is unable to go, but my grandma and my grandpa and my mom's second elder sister, they go for darshan, and they get an interview, which is like taken by default. You will get an interview at that point. So then they get the interview. Baba gives the darshan, Pada Namaskar, and all that, and then he gives vibhuti to all these people. Just to my mom's elder sister alone, she gives 2 packets. One for her and one for my mom. Because she knows that. And my mom is my mom's elder sister is like her godmother. So he didn't give it to my grandpa. He gave it to my mom's elder sister with an implied meaning that, okay, the one is for you, one is for... So that sort of reflects how Bhagwan cares for his devotees. You don't have to go also.
Yeah.
He knows where you are and what you need and through whom it should reach you. So that's one of the experience. And the second thing is about my grandpa goes, and then this time my third sister and my mom's younger brother go. So he gives after the interview, he gives a sort of of Vibhoti packets. That time it was all different. It is all wrapped up in a news paper and all that. So same type of packets being given to everyone. Once they come home, they start opening it. They see that everything is same except for one packet, which there is a blue color, like a button type of a thread, which we tie it to our hand usually, and then there is a taviz type of a thing. So they didn't know, they thought everything is Vibhoti, but they said this is not that we expected. We don't know what it is. So they kept it at the altar itself. And next time when they went, they asked, Swami, in the last visit, you gave us this. He said, okay, don't do anything about it. Just take it and put it in the well. So they did that. We don't know what is the reason behind it or the thing, but many things it is better to leave mystery as it is, because he knows what is that and how that is supposed to work. So that's the second experience. And then this is third experience is when Baba visits Kerala, and my mom's native place is Calicut, where all these Eradi brothers, so she's very close. She's in that circle during her childhood days. So he goes there, and Baba is supposed to visit a house, and all the singers, etc., are supposed to come. He ends up 4 times in the house, and my mom and my third sister, who is the one who has been sort of refreshing my mom's memory to share all these experiences, these two ladies, these two girls, reach there, and it's like the household, these two people, and then Baba. So the singers haven't come yet. So these people they were asked to sing to make up till the professional sort of singers arrived. So they sang 2 songs, and Baba liked it. How they got to know is that Baba finishes his whatever duties he had in that house, the button then starts, and everything finishes, and then one was a Tamil song and one is Papa Bhajan. So when he is leaving the house, he takes the arranged car and he asks the driver, "Do you know this song? Those girls sang so well. I really like this." He didn't comment on the professional singers. He sang the amateur ones. He commented. So this sort of reflects how he is impartial and he doesn't care for your nuances of singing, maybe, or what standard of singing you are. It's all about how sincerely you sing for him, or how sincerely, as you were earlier mentioning, how sincerely you pray. That is what matters. Maybe I will just ask my mom to 1 or 2 lines, whatever she remembers of those.
Yes, yes.
Om Bhagavan, Om Bhagavan, Sai Baba Bhagavan, Om Bhagavan, Om Bhagavan, Om Bhagavan, Satya Sai Bhagavan. கோவிலில்லை கோபுரமில்லை கும்பிடவே ஒரு தெய்வமுண்டு, அதை நம்பிடவே ஒரு தெய்வமுண்டு. பக்தியோடே பூஜை செய்ய பர்த்திலே ஒரு தெய்வமுண்டு. பாபா சரணம் சாயி சரணம் என்றழைக்க ஒரு தெய்வம். கோவிலில்லை கோபுரமில்லை கும்பிடவே ஒரு தெய்வம் அதை நம்பிடவே ஒரு
The second song, the meaning is basically there is no temple, there is no huge arch or gopuram or anything, but there is only God is only there, and then the God is there, and then apart from God, whoever believes in it, they can also see the God. So that is what is basically the song referring to in terms of meaning.
So they sang to Swami, right, at that time?
The Swami was just sitting there, like, and then they sang this. So they sang this one Tamil song and one bhajan. So because at that time there is no development or anything from an infrastructure, right? It was just faith and prayers alone. So that's what the song brings out the essence in terms of. So that's the third experience. And then the fourth experience is basically my third sister, my mom's third sister. So she had gone with family. So she had given birth to twins. Okay. So when these people were going for darshan, suddenly she realized that we didn't carry the nipple for the kids. So in case we get interview, these kids will create a mess. So you guys go forward, and then I will go and get the nipple from the shed. And so by then these people went. Already Baba said, okay, let them sit for writing. That was an agenda also in the trip, to make them sit for writing for the first time. Before she came, Baba already finished that task out. Because everything is like, you are straightforward, right? No need to wait and all that. So then what happened was that, so that thing happened, and then interview was the next. So Baba tells the sister's husband that you don't come for this round of interview, you come in the next round. Because he knows that wife is not there if he comes for this interview.
Correct.
By the next round only she will be back. So then
true.
The next round she's already back, and they take the kids. My mom says that apart from the nipple, Baba gave vibhuti to both, and immediately both of them slept. And then he was speaking about Ramayana and all that. So that interview went out peacefully. So, 1.5 hours. He's So it shows the omniscient of God, right? And the last one is like, but even though everything was available, he wouldn't let you take anything for granted. This is an example for that. So my third sister again, husband, he went with a mission that all the devotees are planning to construct their own houses in Kerala, obviously. So they wanted to get the document deed blessed before they could officially come and say. So he had gone with 5 friends' documents, including his own, and he didn't call for interview, even come closer. At that time, when interview, I told you all the experience. 5 days he didn't even come closer. So next day already time to go back, because it's only 5 days leave they got. So my uncle was like quite upset. Looks like I'll have to go back without this thing. He didn't know what to do. Obviously, he didn't want to go without that and start. So last day evening, he was sitting near a tree, sort of second look dejected. Baba came and he stepped on the documents.
Oh.
Yeah. So he stepped on the document like a Padanamaskara on the document itself. And then he sort of, I think, gave vibhuti or some this thing, blessed them, and then went. So if he decides to develop patience in you, he knows how to deal with that. So instead of so to say the blessing, the documents got the Pada Namaskar also. But the waiting was the learning of the patience was the learning. So I think that applies in Bhakti, especially in this age. And I try my sort of spiritual every time I keep reminding, and all the books, even in the Paramahansananda's book, it's the biggest virtue of spirituality or the learning of spirituality is patience, especially in this world wherein we want everything instant. So I think that's one of the main qualities that any spiritual aspirant should develop. But obviously, we might get frustrated. But all that time, it's one of the story which I can remember also is that when Narada comes from Vaikunta, there are two people who are meditating. So one person asks, Narada, did you tell Vishnu about my case? He says, yeah. He said, yeah. I have told about you to him. What does he say? He says, yeah, it will take another 3-4 janmas for you to attend, go to him. I said, okay, fine, I'm ready to wait anyway. And the second one, when he goes, he says, did you tell me about my case to him? Narada says, yeah, I did. What did he say? He says, yeah, you will take another 2-3 years more. He said, what? I struggled for so long, again 2-3 years. He gets dejected already. Narada immediately goes to the first one and takes him immediately to Vaikunta. So anybody who's ready to wait and patiently, yeah. So I just thought these 5 themes I will bring out.
Yes.
Special thanks to my mom's third sister. She remembers everything to the max, even compared to my mom.
Now we will all remember. Now we will all remember. And
opportunity.
yeah, but you cannot leave like that, brother Babu. We all want to hear your bhajan, your violin, because Babu plays beautifully on violin. He has played in so many orchestras here in Singapore as well. So I've requested him to do that for us. Yes, we can see you. Good. Yeah.
And what on microphone?
Wah, wah. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, brother Babu, what a splendid performance. And this Sai Bhajan Bina Bhajan, is so deep. And with this sound, it impinges so much, brother. Wow. You made our Sunday and the week, brother. Beautiful, auntie. Thanks a lot, auntie. Thanks, Babu. Auntie, we
Sai
are
Ram.
really blessed. We are really blessed. I am very blessed, and Yash and everyone, we have met you, and we had your blessings all the time. And I always will keep meeting you because now I'm closer to your place. So, thanks a lot. Really a pleasure to have you, Saira.
Sai
Thank
Ram.
you.
Saira. Brother Shastri, now we can have one of the 108 names, Mahatman, as a concluding part of the satsang session.
Yeah, Sairam, brothers and sisters. First, I think Brother Babu has taken all of us into a different plane and level with
Absolutely.
Hari Bhajana Bina. Sairam, brother, thank you so much with the violin. Uh, so, today's 108 name of Swami is Om Sri Sai Sakala Samshaya Haraya Namaha. That means the one who removes all the doubts in our hearts and in our minds. This name, Om Sri Sai Sakala Samshaya Haraya Namaha. Samshaya means the ones who removes the doubts. So, one incident that happened way back in 1959, at that time, Prashant Nilayam had no this kind of all the finished complete mandir at that time. There was a terrace and moonlight dinners. The devotees, Swamis, to have moonlight dinners with the devotees on top of the terrace there. So on one such occasion, Swami calls a young man who had come from Chennai, that is Madras at that time, for the dinner. Once he arrives, Swami says, "Okay, you touch my body." And when the young man touched Swami's body, he was like burning with 104. And Swami asked someone to bring thermometer and look for the temperature. And it is recorded 104. Then everybody was surprised and scared that Swami, but Swami was very happily moving around till that time. And then Swami said, "Okay, after a few minutes, after 5 minutes or so, Swami again asked someone to measure the temperature. So Swami's temperature was 96. Then Swami said to this young man that, "Swami, I went all the way to Chennai to, save your mother. Your mother was being, saris being burned by the lamp and she was worshipping me. And I went there to, save her." This young man, once Swami said, in his mind, the doubt has started. So Swami is right in front of me, talking to all of us here. How is that Swami had gone to Chennai? What's his problem? So after everything was over, next day morning, because at that time, very difficult to make a trunk call or phone call also, not so easy like mobile days today. So he goes to post office next day morning and he dials to his mother and talks to her and asks her what happened yesterday night. Then she describes everything and she asks, "How is Swami's hand?" So hope Swami's hand is fine and hope he is well, all that. Then he realizes that whatever Swami has said that night, previous night, is perfectly, genuine and all that. And he wanted to come back to, Mandir and apologize to Swami, to fall at Swami's feet. Moment he reaches Mandir, Swami was standing right there at the door and asked him, "What did your mom say?" And there were no words from this young man. And obviously, he falls at the feet of Swami. So that means he removes all the doubts, whatever, so all these incidents that Swami had given us through his life, innumerable number of these incidents, only to strengthen our faith. Jai Sai Ram.
Om Sai Ram. Sai Ram. Beautiful, brother. Sakala Sanjay Haraya Namaha. I think we have to come to a stage also where we should not have doubts anymore. Because if there is a sincere inquest where we want to know an answer, he gives all that answers. But we have to come out of the doubting Thomas's skin also and try to work more close towards him. All right, brothers and sisters, wonderful. I think we are mesmerized in the whole session, especially Babu lifting us to Sai Bhajan Bina Sukh Shanti Nahi, beautifully connected. Let's enjoy that after this session as well. And we'll conclude with Samasta Loka 3 times. Om समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः जय बोलिए भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय. Sai Ram, brothers and sisters, have a wonderful week ahead and we'll catch up again in 2 weeks time. Om Sai. Sai Ram Aunty Pranam. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Thank you. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.